Hey y'all, my name is Sean. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be ranking Britney Spears albums. My last video I was ranking Britney Spears tours. I had a really fun time doing that. The Britney Spears fans who follow me on Instagram, the 40 of you who I love very much. I did a poll on my Instagram and I asked if people wanted an album ranking video or a Dream Within a Dream tour deep dive, and everyone said that they wanted an album ranking video. So this is where we are. I'm doing the album ranking video today. I figure I'll just do a Dream Within a Dream tour deep dive next week. So if you want to hit that subscribe button, you can get a notification when that pops up. Also on my channel, I do covers of songs if you want to see me singing. I also have a new song, Violet Wonderland, out that I wrote and I love, and it's so fun and it's a little funky. So if you're looking for some good vibes, check that out. It's down below also. So let's get started. I also have the CDs right here just in case I need to reference anything, and I think I just showed you number 9. At number 9, I have Britney Jean. Britney Jean for me just feels overall unfinished. I don't necessarily dislike it. I just feel like they were trying to get something out for Vegas, and in doing so, the quality suffers pretty immensely for me. The vocal production is lacking. The editing is a little strange at times. You can hear when different phrases are clipped and edited together. The EQing changes at time, which is a bit jolting. The production is fine. It's a tad basic and very standard for what the 2013 pop era was. Also, if you see me rubbing, it's Dobby. He's literally laying in my lap. So if you see, I'm not like messing with myself. I'm petting my dog. So where was I? Yes, so the instrumentation is very standard for 2013. It doesn't age incredibly well. I just feel like they could have gotten away with an EP if they were looking to push out something to promote Vegas. They could have gotten away with an EP, maybe a 5-track EP. I would have loved to see something like Alien, Work Bitch, Perfume, Passenger, and maybe Hold On Tight. Those seem like the most finished songs of the whole album, even though Voldemort seems to be involved in some of these. Work Bitch is a solid Britney single for me, and it has kind of stood the test of time and become one of her iconic songs. You have the memes that go around, like Britney Spears ending unemployment with her song Work Bitch, so like those are really fun things. The song structure itself is very different. There's not really like a verse chorus. It's mostly like a chorus verse, I think, which I like. Definitely plays into the EDM craze of that time. I like Perfume. Perfume's a pretty great single. At that time, everyone was vying for a Sia-penned ballad, so this is Britney's version of that, and I think she succeeded. I didn't need her belting. I feel like she could have gotten away with an every time type falsetto on the choruses and it would have been fine, but her vocal delivery is solid on that. The imagery is cute. It does play into the most personal album ever with the photo shoot with her kids and, you know, the photos of her at home. The font is pretty basic. Do like the Britney Jean logo though. This is really pretty. So that's how I feel about Britney Jean. Let's move on. So my number 8 is Circus. And I know that some people are probably going to be mad at me for putting it so far down on my list. I don't feel like it pushed her forward in terms of experimentation of pop music. I feel like she kind of regressed back into bubblegum Britney, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I don't know. The mixing for me is muddy at times. The production is solid and a return to form for her pop. The experimental and bonus tracks I feel like are where this album shines the most. So the tracks like Unusual You and Blur and Phonography, Amnesia, Quicksand, Trouble, those bonus tracks I love so much, and I wish they would have been able to have life on the standard album or even a deluxe issue of the album physically. Dr. Luke did a lot of the production for this, so of course the production is very tight. The vocals are extremely well edited. The singles are solid for this album. Womanizer was the comeback single. It's not my favorite Britney single, but it did the job and it got her back on the map, which I appreciate. Circus is one of my favorite singles from Britney. The halftime and the pre-chorus I love so much. It's one of my favorite Britney singles. It gives her that theatrical kind of element that she excels in. If You Seek Amy was a great single. I love the brass tie-in. I feel like that kind of tied in the circus aspect of the album, so I appreciated that a lot. And then you have Radar's the fourth single, which was a tack on because of the contract she had from Blackout. The imagery for this album I think is absolutely stunning. It's one of my favorite photo shoots from her. The photo of her on the tightrope. The cover is fine. I like some of the photos from the shoot a little better than the cover, but overall, the imagery from the album is stunning and sells the point of the album. I just don't know that the album itself sells the point of the album. I wish that the production would have gone a little more ham as far as trying to turn it into a circus of sorts. Like, yeah, so that's my overall feeling with Circus. It's a great album. I don't go back and visit it a lot. For my number 7, I have Baby One More Time. That is the debut album, and it is at my number 7. I feel like the singles were amazing, but as an album piece itself, it doesn't really stand alone as an album. Of course, the production for the singles were forward-thinking pop at that time because it was a return to bubblegum pop. So you have Baby One More Time as the lead single, and that really set the standard for pop music at that time. It was one of Max Martin's first big ventures on the pop scene. You have the bass slaps, you have the chorus vocals on the choruses. That's something that Max Martin does the best, are the big choruses. Of course, you have those also in You Drive Me Crazy, but the album tracks themselves are pretty teenager pop. So like the album itself, I don't really go back and visit to be enamored by musicality, but I do go back and visit the album for nostalgia purposes outside of the singles. The singles are brilliant. To this day, I think it's sold 10 million copies, so like it's, you know, it's iconic. So that is my number 7. My number 6 is Femme Fatale. This is her stamp as far as early EDM and dance craze with, you know, Lady Gaga was out and Katy Perry was out, and it was a very competitive time as far as female pop acts. The vocal production is pretty perfect. It does not really leave her room to breathe, which is kind of how Dr. Luke's production is. It's very polished. Dr. Luke's vocal production is very polished. Yeah, so the instrumentation stays very electronic. Throughout, it doesn't really slow down a lot, with the exception of, I think, Criminal and He About to Lose Me. It doesn't really slow down. The singles are some of my favorite Britney songs. As far as production goes, Hold It Against Me is such an epic song. The dubstep bridge, which is such a wonderful musical moment. And then you also have the visual tie-in of the music video with that moment too, which sells the entire thing. Till the World Ends is one of my favorite Britney singles. The chord progressions live on that song are some of my favorite live instrumentations that she has. One of my favorite songs on the album is Trip to Your Heart. I love her vocal delivery on that. From top to bottom, it's a solid album. I just don't feel like the album gives her vocals as much room to breathe as they do on the albums that I'm putting above it. So at number 5, I have Oops, I Did It Again. So for Oops, I Did It Again, I put it above Baby because I feel like it elevated what Baby One More Time was trying to do. It's a next level Baby. The production ups the game from Baby. So Oops, I Did It Again has a lot of the bass lines that Baby One More Time has, and that's actually kind of a risque thing to do in my opinion because it risks sounding the same, but it doesn't. It's a nice callback to Baby One More Time without being an outright copy, and I love that so much because that's literally what the underlying theme of, I mean, yes, it's about, you know, playing with somebody, but the tongue-in-cheek thing is Oops, I Did It Again. Oops, I'm showing you that I'm a lasting star. Oops, I'm showing you that I can deliver bop after bop after bop. So that's what I feel like for Oops. The singles themselves are amazing. Stronger is amazing. Lucky, amazing. Don't Let Me Be the Last to Know, written by Shania Twain and Mutt Lange. You also have Diane Warren writing on this album. With the exception of the ballads on this album, I feel like from start to finish, it's a solid pop album and kind of a very nostalgic stamp on pop music at that time. This album kind of encapsulates everything that the 2000s or 2000 was. Most of the songs have the big choruses, the Max Martin choruses. These kind of drive home those Millennium 2000 Max Martin beats, the bow, bow. I can't do it. I tried to do it. What is that? I need more iced coffee. I'm all hyped up on Mountain Dew. The overall impact of this album was pretty huge. It moved 1.3 million copies in its first week. It set a record for over a decade, which Adele recently broke. Every single person that I grew up with had this album. If you went over to their house, you saw this disc laying somewhere, you know? So that's what puts it at my number 5, because I just feel like it did what Baby did. It did it better. Her vocal delivery on the album is amazing, and overall, with the exception of a couple songs from top to bottom, it's a pretty solid pop album. All right, so at number 4, I have self-titled Britney, 2001. This is Britney in her prime. This is the biggest era, I feel like, culturally. So the production is Britney's breakaway from bubblegum pop and her first kind of dive into more R&B type feelings. Her lead single, I'm a Slave for You, was produced by the Neptunes, and there's not really anything out there that sounds like that song. Her vocal delivery is so light and airy, and that along with the bamboo type beat, so next level. I to this day do not know a song that sounds like that song. And then you also have Boys off the same album, which was produced also by Neptunes. Those are her first kind of dives into that type of music, and that's where I feel like Britney excels the most. The production for the album kind of takes R&B and rock and throws it into a blender. A lot of the album was used as a promotional tool for Crossroads, so you have a lot of the songs that tie into the film Crossroads with Overprotected, I Love Rock and Roll. I feel like Before the Goodbye is such a notable bonus track. I think that kind of set the stage for some of the other kinds of genres that she would try to explore in Blackout and Femme Fatale, that kind of big electronic dance. This album gave Britney a chance to kind of say that she was growing up from the teenage pop realm. A lot of the themes explore, you know, sexuality and relationships to a more adult level than she had explored before. This was her peak era as far as where she was in the public eye. So you have so many MTV specials from this album. You have the relationship with Justin, and you have her Pepsi advertisements and her big tour. Like, it's just, this album kind of set her apart from everyone else, I feel like. The imagery for this album is one of my favorites that she has. The cover of it with her as the fairy and then the different hues overlapped on top of each other, I think are so beautiful. The splatter paint art that comes along with the album, I think, is stunning. The purple, yellow, and blue hues that tie into the album makes it kind of feel whimsical, which definitely helps explore all the different types of sounds I think that this album explores. All right, so now we're in our top 3. Or my top 3. May not be your top 3, but here we are. My number 3 is In the Zone. So for In the Zone, I feel like it takes all of the experimental notions that she was trying to do in Britney and expands on them a little bit. The album is a lot more beat driven. Vocal production gives her a lot of room to breathe on me. Not rain on me. It gives her room to explore with her voice. There is a lot of airy falsetto on this album, which I love her doing. I feel like she has such control of her falsetto, and she does tend to expand on her falsetto a little more in later albums. Breathe on Me for me is a career highlight. The instrumentation used on this album is pretty spectacular. While there are a lot of electronic instruments, there are also harps used, strings used. So I feel like those kinds of things really elevate the experience of this album. The Madonna kiss and the VMAs kind of set the stage for the overall feel for this album, I feel. I feel like this is when the media started turning on her because of the whole Justin situation. So you have that happening. Toxic from this album is probably one of the most forward-thinking pop songs of all time. So you have her pushing for that to be a single. Yeah, and as far as imagery goes, I love the cover for this album. I love that it's so simplistic. I love that the hair is blown back. It kind of sets the tone for how bare this album is for her. You have her writing credit on Every Time. Not only is that a magnificent song for her, but overall that is a wonderfully written song, and she should be given all credit for that. I mean, That's a spectacular song. I feel like there are so many moments on this album that are so forward thinking. I'm kind of rambling about bullshit at this point. So we're gonna move on to number 2. On my number 2 spot, I have Blackout. This album set the stage for the electronic pop sounds of the late 2000s. Dangerous productions are so insanely layered. I think he said one time that his vocal production was so layered that the program kept shutting down or something, because there are so many layers to his vocal production. And it shows. I mean, you have some of the most epic melodies of Britney's entire career on this album, and melodies that shouldn't really make sense but do. On a first listen, it's very otherworldly, and I remember on my first listen I didn't like this album really at all because I didn't understand what it was doing as far as like the harmonies. Like, the harmonies are constantly moving. There doesn't seem to be a set plan on this album, which is what I appreciate so much about it. It's chaotic in a great way. The lead single, Gimme More, for this album, I think was a brilliant move. Gimme More was such a strong commentary on her situation. At the time, it was very tongue-in-cheek. Her airy falsetto on top of these pounding aggressive beats, they really kind of butt heads with each other. It's her against the music. It's just her. But that is what it is though, and all the different textures in that song just make for such a dynamic lead single for her. Can you tell I'm getting sleepy? Oh shit, whoops. From start to finish, this album does not have a skip. From start to finish, well, for me at least, this album does not have a skip at all. Something that I've never really understood with people referencing this album is when they say that her vocal is so computerized to the point of not being recognizable. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that the times that she is given room to play around on this album, she does. You have moments in Hot as Ice where she's just going ham, Get Naked. She's having fun. Heaven on Earth is such a fun song. I mean, the entire album, I feel like she is there. With Britney, she's so great at playing a character with her voice, and so that's what I feel like she did best at on this album. Yeah, so the imagery, I feel like, ties into the disarray that the album kind of leaves you with. I know a lot of fans hate the Blackout album art. I think that it makes sense given how jolting the album is on a first listen. I think that the squares being off center, and that along with her black hair, this is the only album cover we have that she has black hair on. The photos of her with the priest, these are pretty racy photos, but they go along with the themes explored in the album. And so I honestly think that it fits the overall, sex and unruliness that comes along with this album. It just will always remain one of my favorite Britney albums. It's just so unique. To this day, it gets recognized by publications for being so forward thinking. You have to give it up for her, and give it up for Danger, and give it up for Carrie Hilson, because they all helped bring this staple of pop music to life. Alright, so based on my personal taste, my number 1 album is Glory, the 2016 album. Glory, I feel like, is a return to form, and I feel like it's Britney's magnum opus. I have this number 1 because I feel like it's an 18-track masterpiece. As far as Britney albums are concerned, I feel like she was in a great place recording this album, and that comes through in the vocal delivery and the overall tone of the album. From the rumors I heard, this is her first album after she renegotiated her contract to get more control over her music, and it still sounds fresh to this day, in my opinion. It centers around sex, but it's more so a sensual, trusting sexuality and less of an erotic sexuality. With Invitation, it's handled with such care. I feel like it's not trashy. I feel like it's beautiful. So it's like less one night stand in person that you're gonna spend the rest of your life with on your wedding night. That's what I feel like, at least. Which it's great for me. It feels like she's talking to a person she trusts, and it makes you feel like she's in a good spot. The album itself didn't have a lot of impact as far as pop culture goes, but I do love the singles. I think Make Me is such a massive single that did not get the recognition that it deserved. Slumber Party definitely did not get the recognition that it deserved. The production on Slumber Party is amazing. I mean, the trumpets, like, come on. I live for a good trumpet. So after albums like Britney Jean and Femme Fatale, where her vocals didn't really have a lot of room to breathe and it was very edited, this is a nice return to form as far as her vocal delivery. It was nice to see her play around again. There's songs like Just Love Me where her vocal is so vulnerable. I honestly, that's one of my favorite vocal deliveries by her, is Just Love Me. She sounds strong. She sounds alive again. You have songs like Clumsy where she's just going fucking ham. What You Need is such a career highlight for me. Better is a career highlight. I mean, the entire album, Liar, If I'm Dancing. She does a song in French that I'm not about to try to pronounce because I will definitely butcher the pronunciation of that. But the imagery itself sucked when it first came out. The re-release of the album this year has solidified it as my #1 because the imagery is stunning. And since we did get the David LaChapelle music video leak, you can kind of tell what they were going for in the beginning. They were definitely going for some sort of religious undertones as far as I feel a fallen deity of some sort. So the music video sees her and Adam coming into the Garden of Eden and being evicted, which gives you some clues into what they were going for. The Make Me single shows her wrapped in white cloth that looks very, I don't want to say Christ-like because I don't want to offend people, but it looks very Christ-like. So I feel like there was, with Glory, there was going to be some sort of religious undertone going on as far as a falling goddess of some sort, maybe returning or maybe being excommunicated from the Garden of Eden. I don't know, but I feel like that's the direction that they were originally going for, and to me that's brilliant for her. The cover that we have now shows her in chains, which I think ties directly into the conservatorship and everything that's been going on in her life for the past decade or so. I feel like as an artist, this is where everything came together perfectly as far as what she wanted to say as an artist, and that's why I put it as my #1, because I feel like things like Blackout and In the Zone, those were made from chaotic moments in her life where she was seeking love, and you could just tell that she was searching for something. With Glory, I feel that she is at peace, and that's what makes me love it so much. I did that without editing. This video is 40 minutes and 13 seconds, so good luck to me. I talked a lot. I definitely talked a lot. So thank you for watching. If you have a different list than mine, let me know because I'm completely okay with that. I can't wait to see what y'all say. Stay safe out there. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.